The film opens with a sight of several kids joyfully playing in a field. Some people arrive and approach them unexpectedly. At the same time, the alarm bell and a signal from the children's wristbands ring. They proceed towards a neighboring base as if they were programmed to do so. Inside the base, there are creatures dressed in human skin who are working, and the children are strapped to seats. A jet of energy blasts out from the base and into the air as the children cry in agony. It ruins a massive edifice and causes a quake. The tremor is so powerful that it generates an earthquake in the surrounding area. What has occurred is revealed to be a youngster named Jake's dream. Surprisingly, when he wakes up in the real world, the neighborhood where he lives is severely shaking. Jake Chambers, a kid with psychiatric troubles caused by his father's death, lives in a modest New York apartment with his mother Laurie and stepfather Lon. While Jake is watching TV, the news informs that a series of earthquakes are rumbling in various parts of the world. He feels that the events he sees in his dreams have anything to do with the real-world quakes. Jake frequently paints and hangs his dreams on the wall. Lon is irritated that he has to go to the psychiatrist since he believes the family is spending money on the treatment. Jake is ridiculed by his classmates at school while immersed in painting an image from a dream. He fights back, but the teacher stops him. He needs to see a psychiatrist after school. While the doctor feels his paintings are inspired by his father's death, Jake believes they are real and have some link to the earthquakes. By his way home, he spots a frightening man with a blank expression by the side of the road, just like the monsters in his dreams who wear human skin. Meanwhile, a homeless guy on the street informs Jake, scared, that they would take exceptional youngsters like him away. Jake hurries home on the bus, terrified. Laurie and Lon are bickering over him when he arrives home. Laurie is unhappy because he is experiencing difficulties at school. She then offers to send Jake to an upstate facility that works with troubled children. Jake complies, unsure where they will take him because he is weary of the two squabbling. When Jake returns to his room after witnessing his mother's helplessness, he resolves to stop painting pictures of his dreams. When he ultimately falls asleep, he envisions a mystery figure arriving and mercilessly slaughtering someone with a phantom whistle. We are now introduced to Walter, a magician who seeks to break the world's equilibrium by partnering with evil. Continuing the dream, Jake sees two more guys conversing in the woods, but their discussion is cut short by a whistling sound. They promptly get to their feet and point their rifles into the hazy air. Walter hypnotizes and murders one of them. The other can withstand Walter's powers and tries to shoot from behind, but Walter catches the bullets and throws them away. Before departing, he declares that the tower's collapse is unavoidable. Jake also sees a home in his dream, which is an essential clue leading to the planet he is dreaming about. Jake awakens and hastily sketches a drawing of the home. He publishes it online and requests the address. During this moment, clinic personnel arrive at his home with plans to remove him. They exhibit the same traits as Jake's nightmares, indicating that they are monsters disguised in human skin. He walks upstairs with his mother and tells her about the dark-skinned folks, but he is unable to persuade her. Meanwhile, he notices someone responding to his question concerning the address of the home in his painting. Later on, Jake makes an excuse to go to the toilet and escapes out the window. One of the dark-skinned males follows him through the window, stunning Jake's parents. Jake dashes to the roof and weaves down the street. He escapes the skinned people's pursuit by going down the tunnel. While getting a call from his mother, he discovers an abandoned house that he had seen in his dream. Jake enters the house after calming her down and discovers a high-tech portal that requires a destination. Jake inputs the number from his dream and is set to pass through the barrier. A home demon in the form of many pieces of wood, however, arrives and keeps him from entering the door. Jake is able to halt the monster and walk through it successfully. He then enters the midworld, the land he glimpsed in his nightmares. When Walter returns to his headquarters, he discovers that someone has trespassed and entered the midworld via a portal. Jake wanders for a bit before meeting Roland, the gunslinger he saw in his dream. Roland chooses to take Jake to the settlement just beyond the forest to visit a seer who can see Jake's talents after discovering he has an unusual ability. Returning to Walter, he returns to the abandoned home to look into the unauthorized passing. He eventually discovers a piece of wood with Jake's blood on it and rushes to a restaurant named Dixie Pig. This town is teeming with creatures dressed as humans. He questions the proprietor and instructs him to track out the individual who entered Midworld through the gate. Walter also discovers that Jake has a pure shine and can overcome the house demon. Meanwhile, Jake pursues Roland through the forest towards the settlement. As they come to a halt, Jake discovers that the guy slain in his dream is Roland's father. Walter interrogates the skinned individuals who went to Jake's residence and discovers his address. Back at Midworld, Roland breaks the veil of mystery around Jake's dream tower. The tower has stood in the center of all things from the beginning of time. It emits tremendous energy that protects the universe from the outer world. Walter kidnaps unique youngsters like Jake in order to demolish the tower and allow darkness to prevail. Roland and the gunslingers are tasked with guarding the tower. While Jake is sleeping, he is led to an empty field by a voice, where he gets a vision of his deceased father. When he reaches out and touches the illusion, it transforms into horrific monsters. Roland comes just in time to snap him back into reality. When the two return, they are confronted by two more creatures. Roland is ambushed and severely injured while battling with them. When Jake's parents get home, they discover Walter in the kitchen. Jake's mother rapidly realizes that the man in her son's pictures is Walter. Walter murders her and brings her upstairs to learn more about Jake as she reveals the paintings. Roland and Jake, meantime, are on their way to the settlement. They hire a seer to discover where Walter is hiding. Walter returns to the headquarters and directs his thugs to locate Jake. Having him will provide Walter with an enormous amount of energy to smash the tower. The seer explains to Jake in the community that he has a pure shine that permits him to see other realms. The seer also expands his thoughts and shows him how to communicate his visions here. They discover Walter's position thanks to Jake's vision, so they decide to travel to Earth and catch him via the portal in New York. At supper, Roland persuades the villagers that using their gateway to travel to Earth is the only way to keep the tower secure. Outside of the town, Walter's minions, the Tahines, begin to invade and murder the people. Despite his injuries, Roland manages to blast down the beasts. Meanwhile, Walter can observe what is going on in the hamlet and direct the Tahine to apprehend Jake. Roland, on the other hand, saves him. Before the pair depart for Earth, the seer tells Jake not to utilize his gift since it will betray his location. They eventually arrive on Earth and emerge in a kitchen. Simultaneously, Walter loses sight of Jake and Roland, who are on their way to the hospital. They resume their hunt for the gateway after mending Roland's injuries. Back in the hamlet, Walter approaches the seer and inquires about Jake's location before cruelly murdering her. After roaming across New York, Jake and Roland come upon the homeless guy who had previously told him about the skinned people. Jake uses his shine on the homeless man and discovers some information about the gateway. They then decide to travel to Jake's place to find out more information. Despite having a large number of trackers in the city, Walter is still unable to locate him. He has, however, left Jake a surprise that discloses his location. Meanwhile, Jake and Roland arrive at the house and discover his mother dead. He utilizes his shine to discover how she was murdered. Jake, on the other hand, must let go of the anguish or he will be apprehended. This is the surprise Walter was referring about. Roland transports Jake to another location. Roland resolves to revenge Laurie's killing while Jake is distraught by her death. Following that, he shows Jake how to operate a gun. They go to a gun shop together to buy additional ammunition. However, they are quickly captured by Walter. While Jake is leaving, the door suddenly locks, trapping him outside. Walter has assaulted Roland inside. Meanwhile, Jake is encircled and kidnapped by the skinned people. He swiftly alerts Roland with his shine. While Roland struggles his way to the pub, he is transported to the Dixie Pig. Jake is finally turned over to Walter and walks through the portal. He uses his shine to inform Roland of Walter's base's code. Roland is facing a shower of gunfire at the tavern. Jake is led to the base and seated in a chair so that his shine may be used to attack the tower. Roland uses his shooting talents to fire at the skinned guys in the tavern. The dark-skinned guys try to shut the entrance to stop Roland, but Jake uses his talents to keep the gate open. When Walter notices this, he begins to prod Jake to unleash his energy, demolishing the tower and generating a large earthquake. Roland ultimately arrives to Walter's headquarters. As a result, Walter is forced to confront Roland outside the portal. As a sorcerer, he employs whatever methods possible to overcome Roland and crush him beneath the concrete. Jake utilizes his brilliance to awaken Roland in the closing minutes. Roland eventually fires back at Walter, killing him. Roland rescues Jake before destroying Walter's facility. The film concludes with the couple returning to Earth. As Roland prepares to return to his realm, he invites Jake to accompany him. Jake accepts, and the two begin their journey to Midworld together. And the movie ends. Subscribe for more videos like this. Turn on notifications and leave a like to help the channel out. Thank you for watching.